So this is going to be an installation and demonstration video for Xedit script, generate enchanted versions. So as you can see, I click manual download, and it will download automatically. If it does not, you click this button and it will download for you. And as you can see right here, you can either click here, which will open it in WinRAR, or you can open up your downloads folder and sort by date, and it will be at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the RAR archive, and I'm going to navigate to my Skyrim Special Edition folder. Right, this is in wherever you have installed Steam. In my case, it's the D drive, but for many people, it would be the C drive. But you were looking for the Skyrim Special Edition install directly, and what you were specifically looking for is wherever you have installed SSE Edit. I've installed it here into the Skyrim directory folder, like many people have. So you open up the Edit Scripts folder, and you just take this and you drag and you drop into the Edit Scripts folder. It's that simple. It just allows the script to be run in Xedit. So now that we have installed it correctly, we would start up Xedit, but I have already started up mine. And what we're going to do now is a quick demonstration. So I'm going to use a test piece of armor for this, which is only mentioned in a single level list, just for demonstration purposes. But what you would do is you would go to whatever mod you would like to use the script on, open up the mod, and then open up whatever it is, if it's a weapon or an armor or a jewelry or whatever it is you want to apply the script to. And you would find your record, right? And you will right click the record, apply script, right? So right click, apply script, and you'll get a script pop up right here. And what you want to do is you're going to click this drop down, and this will just give you a list of all your scripts, and you're going to find Skyrim Generate Enchanted Versions Auto. And once you have that selected, you click OK. And this demonstration, for the sake of brevity, is going to use the recommended setting. So you just press yes, and that is it. That is the entirety of installation and demonstration. It really is as simple as a single click. Anything beyond this point is just going to be showing the output of the script and explaining some of the things that it does and how it does them. So if you'd like to stick around for that, if not, that's all you need to know in order to use the script. So now I have finished the script, and we're going to look at the output of the script. Now this outputs to the default output, which is custom leveled lists. If this plugin does not already exist when you first run the script, it will create the plugin, and it will be at the bottom of your load order. So we're going to go into here, and since we ran this on a piece of armor, the Ebony Valkyrie boots, we're going to look here in armor, and as you can see, it has generated and organized all of the different enchantments. And this is just the name of the boots plus the name of the enchantment. And what this does is it detects whether or not any item has of in its name, and then takes the string following the of and adds it to the name here, which is how you get all of the different, Ebony Valkyrie boots of Peerless Stamina. And this, as you can see, is vanilla enchantments, and then these, using a different naming scheme, are the Winter Mist enchantments. But this will also work exactly the same way for Summer Mist enchantments. So besides this, it also, if we take a look at leveled items, which is leveled lists, we have the enchantment list for all of the enchantments generated. Now, all of these enchantments, they're added to a singular list, and as you can see, there's about 75 enchantments in here. But if we take a look again at this right here, you'll see that they're divided into tiers from 1 to 6, and based on where they're at in the tier list, they will get a different number. Um, this 1 is from level 1, and it goes all the way up to level 40. Those are the defaults that can be changed if that is something that you're interested in. But I think it's a pretty fair distribution of the items. So this is the percent chance leveled list, and basically all this is it's 9 copies of the original item and then 1 copy of the enchanted leveled list. So you have a 10% chance to get any of the items in the leveled list that you are a level to get. So it's organized correctly, the flags are set correctly, and at the very end, what it will do is, as you can see, this is the only leveled list that references Ebony Valkyrie boots. And if we see right here, this is the original item. This is the Ebony Valkyrie boots in this test leveled list. And as you can see, the red means it's been removed, but in this case it's been replaced. So the Ebony Valkyrie boots is no longer part of the leveled list. So it copies the original leveled list and then replaces only this entry, the entry for the item that you have, and it replaces it with the leveled list we just looked at, with a percent chance of getting an enchanted item. It'll be a 10% chance to get the enchanted item again. So it does all of this automatically. It will detect both vanilla leveled lists and any mod added leveled lists. It uses the reference by category in order to examine that. I also forgot to mention that the different types of armor, like boots, cuirass, circlets, rings, they all are restricted to different enchantments. And a lot of the enchantments beyond the worn restrictions are only implemented with like a single type of enchantment. Like let's say a necklace, the enchantment can be applied to a lot of different types of armor, but in the Winter Mist, there are a lot of necklaces that is just applied to the necklace. So in that case, what this does is it will detect, hey, are there any copies of the enchantment that are applied to boots? And it takes all of the ones that are applied to boots here. And since it does it automatically, and since it automatically copies the enchantment amount, and it automatically calculates the value, this should work even with updates to the mod. If you want to add other mods to the supported mod list, really there should be no reason that this doesn't work even when it's not supported anymore. So if we're going to take a look at the script for the settings, this looks a lot more complicated than it is. It's a ton of if or for statements is really all that it is. There's no complicated arrays or anything. So if we go up here to the very, very top, so when you first open the script, this is where you'll end up. And as you see right here, there's a settings section. And this is where most users will want to make their edits. So these different options are, this sets it to where if you get an item generated from these leveled lists, like an Iron Sword of Frost, if this is set to true, if you change this from false to true, what will happen is you won't be able to disenchant the item at an enchanting table. So if you get an item from this mod that has the enchantment, you won't be able to, say, put it on a piece of armor or on another weapon. It will just be applied to this the item that you get originally. So this is the value multiplier, and really what this does is it's the value of the enchantment strength. So if you wanted to make all of the enchantment stronger, all you would have to do is edit this number. It's by default set to 1, which is just what it pulls from the various object effect lists, like the Skyrim.esm and the Winter Mist or Summer Mist lists. So this is the chance multiplier, and this is the denominator for the percent chance. So this is set to 10, so what you're going to get is a 1 out of 10 chance to get an enchanted item. And if you were to say set this to 20, you would get a 5% chance of getting the item, and so on and so forth. So it's really easy to change. That's all you need to change if you want to do a different set of percent chance. And right here, this is the replace original statement, and as you can see, the generate enchantments replaces any instance of the original item in any leveled list with the enchanted set. So you get a percent chance designated here of getting an enchanted version. And I set this to true by default because I think that's the way most people want it. But if you, for some reason, you don't want to automatically add them to the level list when you do it yourself, you just set that to false and it will not run that part of the function. So that is it for the settings that are already here. If there are anything else that you want to be added, it's usually pretty easy to add whatever you would like. If I get suggestions in the post page, just post them there and I will try and both change the script and update the video whenever there are updates to the script. So I'm going to ramble on a bit about the script here. Just a series of functions, obviously. Most scripts are like that. And the script itself starts here. And this is just for every xedit record. This right here, as you can see, you can, in Notepad++, you can like take small functions and it makes it a lot easier to look at the script if you just split it into sections. It looks a lot less intimidating. So if we're looking at this section, all of these sections should have comments that should tell you, this is what's going on here. It should be very easy to read. They're all justified. But what this does is this is just a series of if-or statements that check whether or not the file exists. If it doesn't exist, it creates the file. And then it will make sure all of the different lists that we might add to are set to true. That's what this is. So I don't know why you would want to change anything here, but at the very end, the statements, they just set this variable level list file. So if moving on, this right here, this is a section. This prepares the file once you have it. Right, it adds the chance level list and the enchant level list. And then it sets the flags, it names them. It's pretty simple. There are notes here in case you're interested. This is setting the names, but they don't have comments. But it's pretty easy to say. It even has debug messages. So moving on, this is the part that most people will be interested in. This is actually where the enchantment adding happens, or at least the detecting part for the enchantments that are added. So what this does is this part right here, some people might want to add to. This is, hey, these are where you should look for object effects. So if you wanted to personally, like if the mod's no longer supported and you want to add a mod to the mods that this thing looks for, all you would have to do is copy and paste this statement and then change the name to whatever the name of the ESP is that you're looking for. I will try to expand this as people make suggestions, but it's really easy. All you have to do is literally just copy and paste and then change the name, and it will work as intended. It will check exactly the same way that it would Skyrim or Winter Mist or Summer Mist. So what this does here is this adds masters and sets the file. This checks if the string ends with a 1 through a 6. There are a lot of different object of chance effects in Skyrim and Winter Mist and whatever, but ones that are added to the level list always end in a 1 through a 6 to designate the different tiers. And if your mod that you're trying to add to this does not do this, if it does not have a 1 through 6, then this will not work. The script will not work. It's how it detects. Now, I've never seen it done another way, but if I do, I will add support for that. But it has to be done the vanilla naming scheme of the editor IDs. And if we wanted to look at that in the output of the script, that would be this part right here. You see, it would be enchant armor, fortify carry 1. And if you look for the object effect itself, this is the object effect, and this is the name of the object effect, and this is the name that ends up in the games, fortify carry weight. So that detects that. This is, so there's no easy way to detect what level a certain enchantment shows up in, because leveled lists aren't assembled in any sort of easily detectable way. So what this does is it just hard codes the different tiers. And unless somebody has done something crazy with the way that they have done their level list, this should be sensible in the way that it's added to the game. This is actually a little bit below par compared to vanilla, because I think that the vanilla enchantments cap out at 30 instead of 40. So it's the whole point of having the script be so complex is that it's accurate enough not to affect game balance. The whole thing is we want to add enchantments without affecting any sort of game balance. This section, actually all of these sections right here, and this next bit, is all of these, what they do is they will go through, let's see, at the very end right here. So all of these sections, all they do is they go through each record in the referenced by list. So look right here, it's referenced by. There's a list of things that reference this record. We go through all of those, and it looks for what the enchantment's being used for. So right here, this one is weapon bow. If it's a bow, it will record, hey, this is a bow. If it's boots, this will record, hey, it's a boots. And it will also grab the enchantment value from the object effect as it's applied to the weapon. So you get the most accurate and the closest to the author's original intention. So this is the best way, I think, to get the enchantment in such a way that it does not affect game balance. So yeah, so that's all these do. This is gauntlets, and you see there's clothing. One thing people might find confusing is this right here, this it pause statement. This is from, and a couple of the functions in here are from Mater's MTE functions, but most of the places where this is used is this simply says, hey, if the word of is in the name of the item, like if it's Iron Sword of Frost, then this is something we want to look at, and then it goes to the rest of the statement. Looks for the keyword that you're looking for, and then it assigns, hey, these are boots. So it does this for each type. There's even a section here in the cuirass to where it will distinguish between robes and not robes. And I have hard-coded somewhere in here. Some robe enchantments, for some reason, are applied to vampire armor as well, and it wanted to pick up on the armor and then apply the armor enchantments to, or the robe enchantments to all the different pieces of armor, so I hard-coded that out. But if you, for some reason, if this bothers you, you can take it out. But it's this right here makes it to where you can distinguish between robes and cuirass, because they have the same keyword. So as you see, jewelry is also included. There's clothing circlet, clothing necklace, clothing ring. These are the keywords. So even if there are some obscure type of added mod, piece, armor, whatever, like cloaks, for example, is a pretty obvious one. Even though it's a cloak and it's not technically like armor cuirass, they will almost always have a keyword from the vanilla set that this will pick up on, because they put these keywords for the most part in there for things like this, to detect how the game treats the item. And that's what this does. It detects how the game treats the item. So it should pick up on just about anything. Any kind of jewelry, any kind of armor or weapon, just about anything on the Nexus this should pick up on. So moving on from this section, this section, it just checks, hey, is it applied to this, right? Is it applied to a circuit? So this right here is actually where we add the enchantments. So what this does is, since this is looking at the reference by list, this looks at the record you've selected. So if what you've selected is a weapon and a bow, it'll say, hey, is this a bow? And if it is a bow, do this. So let's see, this is equal to weapon type bow. This does not equal. So that's what this says, is it's comparing what has been detected in the reference by list to what it detects from the selected record, and that's how it decides whether or not to run and add to Enchanted level list. And these are all outputs from functions here. So this calls a function earlier in the list we'll look at later. This just is a hard-coded mess of all the different effects that this can pick up on, so that each time it loops, it doesn't use the same name over and over and over again. It should not be, very complicated to see that it just sets them all to nil. and that is the end. This part right here is the replace original, and this part is the percent chance leveled list. So in order to make sure that the replaced and leveled list doesn't pick up on the leveled list that has 9 copies of the regular item and then 1 copy of the enchanted version, the percent chance is done at the very end after the replace has been called. So that's why that's there. Now, if we want to look at the actual section, the function it's called whenever they're doing the two different of the most complicated ones. This is what creates the enchanted versions, and it just takes the outputs from the function and then runs them through a couple of, hey, set this. This right here is probably the most complicated part. It's the original author of the script this is based on, loosely based on. He had a way to look at enchantment value, and that's what this is. It just calculates the value of the enchantment based on the number of uses, the enchantment strength, the tier, that sort of thing, and the enchantment multiplier is the value multiplier right here. So, and this is the part that is the, hey, this isn't unenchantable, it just adds a keyword. This part is the add to leveled lists automatically, which is a little more complicated, but basically what happens is it goes through every list that references the selected record. So if we go back to armor and look at the selected record, it goes through every list that references the selected record, and it looks at that list, and inside that list it looks for the record. So if this equals the name of the item, then it will replace that item with the chance leveled list. So this as the masters right here, and then this sets the, hey, we should copy. So in order to make sure this doesn't interfere with other mods, have masters added at random to different plugins for no reason. This copies the element to the output plugin. It's the reason that an output plugin is necessary, and it doesn't output like the original mod did into the same record. Since you have to add like Summer Mist as a master to any plugin that has enchantments from Summer Mist, the best way that I think we could do this to make it most compatible with everyone is to make an output plugin. And you can put in your own output plugin. I don't recommend it, and for some reason half the time the default option shows up in Chinese, which is really bizarre. But anyways, if you want to put in your own plugin, it should still work. It hasn't been as thoroughly tested, but it should still work if you put in your own plugin. And not only will it detect a plugin if it has the same name, if you want to name it something different, it will create a plugin that's named different. But if you always want it to output to the same plugin, you always have to re-enter the name every time you run the script. If that makes sense. So yeah, that's the script in summary. Like I said, there's always comments here, and for most people, what you're going to look at is just at the very top here, the settings. And if there's any other settings that are added, people want added, I'll put them up here, and then just modify the script to reflect what we want done in the settings. So that is my rambling about the mod, and should conclude anything that you'd like to know about it. I will be taking suggestions from the post lists about mods to add object effects from, or any features that you would like to see in the list. This mod will be followed by another mod that specifically focuses on level list integration, which has a little bit larger scope than this one does, and it will have the option to run this script, which generates enchantments, but that will come later. So, yeah. This should save you an unbelievable amount of effort.